It's a good sign. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jamunatira Vanachari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Sri Radha Madhava ki, Sri Radha Giridhari ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Puri Vraj Kajaja Shudra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Ravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Puri Vraj Kajaja Shudra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Shri Bhakti Shranta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. ISKCON Founderacharya, BBT Founderacharya, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Samveda Bhakti ki jai. Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, assembled devotees, all glories, assembled devotees. All glories, Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. So this morning we read from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 7th chapter, what Prahlad learned in the womb, text 29. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tatropaya Sasranam Ayam Bhagavato Ditaha Yad Ishvare Bhagavati Yata Yar Anjasa Vratihi Tatropaya Sahasranam Ayam Bhagavato Ditaha Yadishvare Bhagavati Yatayar Anjasaratihi Tatrapaya Sahasranam Ayam Bhagavato Ditaha Yadishvare Bhagavati Yatayar Anjasaratihi Tatropaya Sahasranam Ayam Bhagavato Ditaha Yadishvare Bhagavati Yatayar Anjasaratihi Tatropaya Sahasranam Anyone online?
Tatropaya Shastranam
Tatopaya Sasranam
Ayam Bhagavato Dita
Ayam Bhagavato Ditaha
Yad Ishvare Bhagavati
Yadishvare Bhagavati
Yatha Yar Anjasharati
Yataya Ranjasarati Tatra. In that connection, getting out of the entanglement of material conditioning, upaya of processes, sasranam of many thousands, ayam this, bhagavata udita given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, yat which, Ishvare to the Lord, Bhagavati the Supreme Personality of Godhead, yata as much as, yai by which, anjasa quickly, ratihi attachment with love and affection. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Of the different processes recommended for disentanglement from material life, the one personally explained and accepted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead should be considered all perfect. That process is the performance of duties by which love for the Supreme Lord develops. Purport. Among the linking processes that elevate one from bondage to material contamination, the one recommended by the Supreme Personality of Godhead should be accepted as the best. That process is clearly explained in Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord says, Sarvam Dharmam Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. This process is the best because the Lord assures, Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami ma suchaha. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. There is no need to be worried, for the Lord himself assures that he will care for his devotee and save him from the reactions of sinful activities. Material bondage is a result of sinful activity. Therefore, since the Lord assures that he will dissipate the results of fruit of material activities, there is no need to be worried. This process of understanding one's position as a spirit soul and then engaging oneself in devotional service is therefore the best. The entire Vedic program is based on this principle, and one can understand it as recommended in the Vedas. Yasadevi para bhaktir yata devi tata garo tasyaiti katita hyarta prakashante mahatmanaha. Unto those great souls who have implicit faith, in both the Lord and the spiritual master, all the imports of Vedic knowledge are automatically revealed. Shvetashvatara Upanishad 6.23. One must accept the pure devotee, the representative of God, as one's guru, and then offer him all the respects one would offer the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the secret of success. What did Prabhupada just say? What did I just say? What did Prabhupada just say? Yeah. This is the secret of success. Okay, the secret's out? Today. Okay, it's out. Okay. This is the secret of success. For one who adopts this method, the perfect process is revealed. In this verse, the words Yar Anjasa Rati indicate that by offering service and surrendering to the spiritual master, one is elevated to devotional service, and by performing devotional service, one gradually becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because of this attachment to the Lord, one can understand the Lord. In other words, one can understand what the Lord's position is, what our position is, and what our relationship is. All this can be understood very easily by the simple method of Bhakti Yoga. As soon as one is situated on the platform of Bhakti Yoga, the root cause of one's suffering and material bondage is destroyed. This is clearly explained in the next verse, which gives the secret of success. Okay, well, tomorrow you really get this. Tomorrow. It's hinted at in the purport today, but tomorrow, who's coming to class tomorrow? Raise your hand. You're not coming? You're going to hear it in the kitchen? No? Okay. Who's giving class tomorrow? Who's going to reveal the secret? Trijamani. Okay. So. Om Agyantimarandasya Gyananjana Shlakaya Chakshulul Minitam Ninata Ismai Sri Gurave Namaha Suchaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Nina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Banchikapatarubhashta kripa sindhu bevacha patidanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So by your ardent prayers and good wishes, I will try to say a few words about this verse and purport. So this word sahasranam, Prabhupada doesn't directly translate it put in the translation, but it's saying here of many thousands. Anything but surrender to Krishna. That's the material world. Anything but surrender to Krishna. And that's just the conditioning of this material world. The last thing we want to do is accept Krishna's words in the Bhagavad Gita as absolute and supreme. Now, of course, there are different paths recommended in the Vedas, because not everyone is ready to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That requires some purification. Actually requires a lot of purification to even be able to accept that. It's not ordinary that everyone is sitting here or people come to our movement or get Prabhupada's books and they can actually appreciate and understand and accept. Was it that Prabhupada says in one purport, accept the principle without envy, Just accept it. You may not, you're not fully engaged in pure devotional service, but you don't resent it. You accept, at least theoretically. Prabhupada said in the introduction, read the Bhagavad Gita, and theoretically, let's just accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and just listen. Just put that aside, any prejudices or conditioning, and just theoretically, okay, here's God speaking to his devotee, and he's explaining the absolute truth. That will help us understand the Bhagavad Gita. But it's a very rare, very, very rare person who has that adhikar, is that the word? The adhikar, or piety, whatever it is, what is that? Agyata sukriti, the sukriti, to even theoretically think, well, maybe this is God speaking for our benefit. There are many, Prabhupada's great scholars, so-called scholars and politicians in India and around the world. They get a hold of a Bhagavad Gita and they'll do anything they can to take Krishna out of the Bhagavad Gita. It's quite interesting, isn't it? So many different processes are recommended for disentangling us from this material life, and some people are sincere, and it is a bona fide process, but it's not the complete process. I was having a wonderful puja the other day with members of our congregation, and I've known the family for, my goodness, must be 25 years or so, since the kids were just 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, and they're all married in their 30s and 40s, and the grandkids were there. But one of them, very nice, and he's a very, very nice gentleman. He's a Jain, And I asked her, you've married a Jain, do you study the Jain religion? She goes, no. I said, okay. But she was telling us that the grandmother of her husband actually gave everything up. Because, there's two types, traditionally, even today, even they have some today, there's two types of Jains, you know that? With the Shvetabhara and Digbhara. Shvetadhara means wearing white. See a lot of Jains, you see they have the white on and they have the mask and so on. That's Shveta, white. The other is Dig, which means the four directions. They're naked. Men and women. Of course, the women are allowed to wear one piece of cloth they like. They're usually out in the forest like that. It's kind of a hard time preaching if you're walking around naked. So it's like, Hare Krishna. So anyways, but the grandmother, after the kids grew up, she actually renounced the family. She went to the forest, lived in a Digbhara ashram, and she said, two of the austerities when you come, you have to pull out every single hair on your body by hand. And you eat every day, but it's only as much, one meal a day, what you can fit in the palm of your hand. These are the different austerities. The Jain religion, the Tankaras, there's the self-realized Mahants. There's 24 in each yuga, and even when they pass away, they're present in their spiritual form. And but it's just the very peaceful people. Every Jain I've ever known is very, very, very peaceful. Strict vegetarians, very, very peaceful, very moral, and so on. But it's disentanglement from the material world, kind of like just renouncing any sign of sense gratification whatsoever. I don't know of any positive. I mean, that's their positive, is they come to a point of some kind of happiness which is beyond the happiness of the body. But there's nothing more than that. And they don't really have any discussion on what is the absolute truth. The liberation is kind of a zero. In other words, no attachment to matter. But what are you attached to? And yes, there's karma. There's karma. But the spiritual world, that's not there. Deities are not there. There's no deities and so on. They are in a different form. In fact, I was speaking to another parents of a wedding I'm going to do, the groom or bride. They're Jains also. And he told me that the Tankara for this Kali Yuga is actually in a different dimension. And if you want to ask them a question, there's the head of their the Jain religion in the world today. You have to ask him. He goes into trance and goes into that parallel universe, asks the Tankara, and he comes back with the answer. So this is what they have going on. So, no, that's the point I'm making. Even in Bhagavad Gita, at the beginning of the 12th chapter, Arjuna asked Krishna, Krishna, what is better? The path of devotional service or the path of this, impersonalism, where you're just kind of concerned with energy and renouncing this material world. And it's very definitive. That's why the chapter is known as devotional service. But Krishna says here, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their... He said, what's better? That's the question. Yoga vittama. Who's the most perfect in knowledge of yoga? Who's got the best understanding of what it means, spiritual life, yoga? And Krishna says, Mai eshesha mano yemam nityukto pasate shraddhaya parayopetas te me yuktat tama mataha. This mataha means are considered, in my opinion, like that. So those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshiping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be the most perfect. And he goes on to say, those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me. And in the next verse, see that verse about klesha dekaratarastesham, that its advancement is very troublesome. I mean, just getting through picking all the hairs off your body could be an experience. You got to do it yourself, every single hair on your body. That's true. I mean, it could be maybe just start with your heads, Prabhus. Okay. So this Sahasranam, thousands of different ideas and paths. I'm not saying they're not bona fide, and people pick them up, but Krishna, who is the supreme authority, it says here, that which is explained personally by the Lord and accepted by the Lord should be accepted as the best or all perfect. And the process is the performance of devotional service, bhakti yoga, by which love for the Supreme Lord develops. Yata yar anjasa rati. So, and Prabhupada is making the point in the purport, the sarvam dharmam parichaja mam ekam sharanam braja. So Krishna is saying at the end of the Gita, because he took time, because there's really just three categories: karma, jnana, and bhakti. Really, there's only three categories. Whatever these other paths may be, you can analyze any endeavor as far as piety and religion and spirituality in karma, jnana, and bhakti, like that. Or the impersonalism and personalism. It's very easy to analyze. There's what's called the chaos theory. You ever hear of the chaos theory? Well, what it is, the chaos theory is, people go, everyone says they're right, all these different religions. I'm right, they're wrong, blah, blah, blah. And therefore, no one's right. It's just chaotic. You're so convinced you're right, you'll fly jet planes into buildings and cut off people's heads and burn people at the stake and denounce everyone else as going to hell forever. And, I'm right, you're wrong. And I got the right, and how about this? And he says this, and this kind of yoga, and that kind of, process, and it's okay to eat beef, it's not okay to eat beef, it's all just chaos, and therefore, nothing's right. Give it all up. Just go do something else. Because no one can figure it out. Well, the point is, no, we don't accept that it's chaos. It's actually quite clear. Krishna points out that very, very clearly, you have karma and jnana, yoga and bhakti yoga, and you have sinful activities. It's very simple to analyze all these different things. It's not chaotic at all. Just like if you say, okay, Sankarshan, your room's a mess. I don't know if it is or isn't. I'm just saying, using you as an example. Clean it up. Like that. And you look at it and go, it's too much. And you walk away. Like that. It's just too much to clean up. Someone else goes, no, let's just clean it up. So I have one. My oldest daughter worked as a professional organizer for a company here in San Diego many years ago. And that's what people called them for, because they looked in their garage or their office files or whatever, and they go, I can't handle this. It's too much. They're just not into cleaning things up and making sure things are neat and clean. So they call these companies in, and they just clean everything out. It's a big problem in this country, isn't it? Hoarding and just people have their whole garages packed with things and these storage units. Just over collecting, just all this stuff, and okay, we'll rent some storage, and they got to pay like $20, $30. I don't know what do they pay? What? $30 a month? Do you still have one? Okay, just asking. Okay, so that's a small one, I imagine, right? And they just pack it, and it goes for years and years and years and years, and then they have these things where was there a show about that on TV, a reality show where they break open and then what's inside, all the different stuff, because if you don't pay for a certain amount of years, the company can actually break the lock, take that stuff and sell it. You know that? So the point I'm making is that, people, they just can't handle all the mess. They just can't handle it. They walk away from it. Someone else has got to come in and go, no, here, listen, very simple. This is what my daughter was saying. This is what they do. They come on in, take care of all the clutter and help them organize everything very, very nicely. So it all looks, whether it's their home or even their office, the systems in their office, their filing systems on the computer, just put it all back in order. If you know how to do it, it's just, there it is. You don't have to become overwhelmed and think that there's no hope at all. So in the same way, the words of Bhagavad Gita, they just put everything in perspective. Very nicely into perspective. So, and Krishna's saying, Sarvam Dharmam Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja. So Krishna's taken the time, Arjuna's asked the questions, about karma, about progressing through pious activities, about impersonal meditation, meditating on the super soul, so many different activities and duties. But at the very end, the very conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita is that Krishna is saying all of these different things, give them up, in the sense that they're not the supreme. They're not the best. Give them all up. Saram dharmam parityajya mamekam. That's mamekam sharan. And take full shelter of me. Ekam means alone. In other words, engage in devotional service. And then Prabhupada says the reason this is the best process, this about the sins, this aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishami ma suchaha. Krishna says, and I will take care of that burden. We all have a burden which is keeping us in the material world, and that's the reactions of our material activities, pious or sinful. On one hand, you can say it's all sinful in the sense that it's all keeping us in this material world. The reactions of our previous activities, creating so much conditioning, so much suffering, or enjoyment. Enjoyment, does that keep us in the material world, Sankarshan? Okay, just nod your head. Keep nodding it because you're falling asleep. So I'll just ask you yes questions. Okay? I won't ask you any no questions, so you just nod your head. Okay. So, the happiness of this material world is a big burden too. Why? Because it keeps us here. It's a big burden. You imagine, okay, you're going to be Indra in your next life. So you start reading up about Indra. Whoa! It's like all of that facility for sense gratification. It's like, whoa, forget it. You're going to write that lifetime off, and it's a long one. So much engagement in sense gratification, and it keeps us in the material world. But Krishna is saying here, mokshishami ma suchaha. Don't worry, I will actually erase that. Says that all these people are trying to erase the burden of their sins, there's prayashchita and this and that, because they know I'm suffering in this material because of all this conditioning and reactions, and I got to take, how many births do I have to take? Still, because of all the things I've done in the past. Does anyone ever contemplate that? Figure that out on your computer, Govardhan? You got a spreadsheet on that one? Well, how many times have I done, what do they say? For every hair on the body of a cow, you have to take birth. and be slaughtered. I mean, that's a lot of births. So, I mean, there's all of the, who knows the weight? 1,000 per hair. Okay, I think it just went up. Did it just go up? I thought it was one hair, and then in 1 square inch, Sariputta figured that out as like thousands of hairs in 1 little square inch. And like, so the point being is one who understands, wow, this is what I have to look forward to. What have I done? How will I ever get through all of this, burn off all this karma? So there's pious activities, there's yoga, right? All these different austerities to become purge the desire for sense enjoyment out of my consciousness. That's why they perform those austerities. Picking out every single hair off your body. That can, the eating just a little bit a day and just meditation and so on. Because they're afraid. Because they're worried. What happens if I die? What happens if I die and I'm not completely Krishna conscious? What happens if I die I'm not completely spiritual? What's going to happen to me? Where am I going to go? What's going to happen? Because just going to a better birth or the heavenly planets, that's not going to solve it. Because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Kshine punya marcha lokam bishanti. When all your piety runs out, you come right back down. You got to start over again. You come right back down. So it doesn't solve it. It just delayed it, right? Yes.
Hallelujah. Chapter 17, text 166. Lord Chaitanya. Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 17, text 166. Lord Chaitanya says to the Kazi, cow killers are condemned to rot in hellish life for as many thousands of years as there are hairs on the body of the cow.
There you go. Like that.
Millions.
It's a lot of time. A long time. But Krishna's saying here, Mahasuchaha, he says, don't worry. I'll take care of everything. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like, they have clemency, and judges can just go, okay, that's it. Let them go. No, or get them, or clemency, is it a thing that a president, the last few months of his term, there's something about he can let a bunch of people go?
He can pardon anyone who commits a federal crime.
Federal crimes.
Anytime during his...
Okay, anytime.
But they usually wait till the end because they know there's going to be some backwash and some objection. So they wait till the end of the term and then they do it.
Oh, I thought, okay. Because, you just... but they can just say that. The governor, the governor can just pardon, you can pardon someone. They have that power. They just pardon them. So Krishna does that. Mahasuchaha. He just clears the slate. He's the supreme controller. And all of our reactions, they're just burned up. Krishna just cleans the slate. Mahasuchaha. Therefore, Prabhupada says, that's why it's the best process. Because everyone else, there's no guarantee. You're performing all these austerities and this and that, and then, I don't know. No one knows. You don't know. Yeah, look at me. So, but that's the reason Prabhupada gives. It's the best. Now, it's also the best because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's the Supreme Authority. If you want to know something, about a particular subject or something, go to someone who really, really knows. Go to an authority, the best authority you can find, right? Just when people have medical problems, many times, they'll find specialists. And those people know a lot better or are very good attorneys. I've been in one situation many years ago, and there was a problem with one of the temples I was at, and they just had these 1 or 2 attorneys. They know what they're doing. So finally they called an attorney who was expert in that field. Boom, 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 done. Within 2-3 weeks. The same with doctors. I have my sister's suffering like that. So you go to all these doctors. No one knows what to do. You finally go to a specialist. ... Boom, done. Right? Someone who really knows. So who knows more than Krishna? No one knows more than Krishna. But if you don't accept that, Bhagavad Gita is just another book. We can interpret it any way we like. Krishna is was it Gandhi said? I don't believe Krishna ever existed. And he's supposed to be the reader of Bhagavad Gita. So in other words, Krishna is really not that important. It's just someone else's opinion or something like that. It's a nice book, and you can interpret it as you like. So you miss the most important opportunity in your existence to become free. It's Krishna very kindly speaking the absolute truth to Arjuna, and he's saying, in my opinion, that it's a devotional service. So let me just read a few verses, then we'll end, okay? From Bhagavad Gita about this. I just picked out a few as we go through the Bhagavad Gita. There's 2 in the 8th chapter that I like very much. Here we go. And Krishna is saying here, this is 8:14. For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Prita, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. After attaining me, the great souls or yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. And as far as other processes, there's this verse at the end of the 8th chapter. Vedeshu yagyeshu tapashu chaiva daneshu yat punya palam patishtam atyeti tatsamidam viditva yogi param stanam upaiti chadyam. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end, he reaches the supreme eternal abode. And then in the 15th chapter, whoever, this is Yomam eva asamudho, janati purushottamam, sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarvabhavena bharata. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is a knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. So how can you miss that when you read the Bhagavad Gita? I guess if you wanted to miss it, you could, but that's pretty clear. Like that. Krishna says, without doubting, anyone is a knower of everything. He's the Supreme Lord. And then, the 18th chapter, I think I picked out 2 verses. I think it properly refers to this maybe in this purport. This Bhaktyamam abhijanati. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Those engaged in all kinds of activities, my pure devotee, under my protection, reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace. So it's by Krishna's grace. And Prabhupada points out what that means in the purport. It means finding a pure devotee of Krishna, surrendering to that pure devotee, following that pure devotee's instructions, humbly inquiring, and taking their instructions. That's what it means to surrender to Krishna. It means to find the devotees of Krishna, associate with them, follow their good instructions, how to become engaged purely in devotional service of the Lord. So we can end here. Any questions or comments? Okay.
I've been doing this, and the devotees appreciate the little editing, editorial information, because you referred to those verses at the end of the 8th chapter about passing from doing the light and the darkness. I don't know.
Oh yes.
And if you read the whole pad, there's 3 or 4 verses that describe that. And I remember when I first read it, and it gets a little bit confusing, because in the purports, Prabhupada talks about one, or here right in the text number 26. According to Vedic opinion, there are 2 ways of passing from this world: one in light and one in darkness. When one passes in light, he does not come back, but when one passes in darkness, he returns. That sounds like it's a crapshoot for anybody. It doesn't matter whether you're sinful or not. If you happen to pass during the light, you're out of here. No. The whole thing is about the mystic, the yogis,
yes.
the knower of Brahman.
Right.
Because people are leaving at all times, but they're not going anywhere. Been to another womb and probably lower than human size. So just watch that. That's going to be fixed. And if you read the Gita and you're scratching your head, well, one passes, maybe you don't just have to make sure I pass when it's light. I got it made. No, you have to be a mystic you know. And then at the end, Prabhupada says, the Krishna says, Vedasya Yogi said, but the devotees get the benefits of all these things. You know.
Yes. Govardhan, you had a question or comment? Oh, yes. One of the things I was going to reference, because we're talking about different paths and so on, there's a conversation between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy, you know, when they met on the bank of the Godavari, and Lord Chaitanya said, what is the path of, what's perfection? And it was going back and forth. Ramananda first started saying about Vanashram, that's perfection. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, that's external. What's something else? And he kept answering, going back, and saying a little bit, that's external, that, and then there's finally stopped. He said, and then they began from this, and that's what he's going to read right now. Yes.
Nepayasmudapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukaditam bhavadiya bhatam stani stitakshudigatam tunavanmanobi ye prayasho ajitadito pasitais trilokyam.
Okay, going on. You got the English.
I'm not sure if it's the right one, though.
Is that the one he just chanted?
Yeah, okay. Ramananda Roy continued, Lord Brahma said, My dear Lord, those devotees who have thrown away the impersonal conception of the absolute truth and have therefore abandoned discussing empiric philosophical truths should hear from self-realized devotees about your holy name, form, pastimes, and qualities. They should completely follow the principles of devotional service and remain free from illicit sex, gambling, intoxication, and animal slaughter. Surrendering themselves fully with body, words, and mind, they can live in any ashram or social status. Indeed, you are conquered by such persons, although you are always unconquerable.
Okay, so this was the turning point in that conversation when Ramananda Roy started speaking about devotional service and surrendering to Krishna. Okay. Any other comments? Yes.
So I hear that the verse that says abandon all varieties of religion and surrender unto Krishna, yeah? So like if you brush your teeth every morning, you're doing that religiously, right? So it's not just that, a particular type of teaching is religious, it's about what you're doing religiously. So if he says abandon all varieties of religion, isn't this a variety of religion?
So you're wondering if you become a devotee, should you keep brushing your teeth?
No.
Yes, but it's a very good question, because what Krishna is making the point here is that not that one becomes irreligious or this or that, but the point is one understands that the supreme goal is Krishna and one should surrender to Krishna. Now these other religious activities, they are assistance to that, but they're not the goal. You know what I'm saying? So abandon doesn't mean you abandon the idea that there's something more than Krishna. There's something higher than Krishna. There's something higher than devotional service. That's what you're abandoning. But it doesn't mean you don't get up in the morning and do your duties and, whatever they may be. You abandon the idea that there's something higher than Krishna, something more important than devotional service. That's what you're abandoning. Okay? And your good karma, your yoga practices, whatever it might be, your knowledge, pursuit of knowledge, are all now directed toward Krishna, because you understand Sharanam Braja. He is the supreme shelter and the supreme goal. That's the perfection of all the other dharmas, is to be engaged in Krishna's service. Okay?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Very nice class. Dravida Prabhu just mentioned about the verse that the darkness and the light, if the body goes, so can he repeat if he doesn't mind? If someone goes in the dark, is that for yogi he mentioned?
Yes, he mentioned that was in reference to mystic yogis having to be very careful when they leave their body out of the top of their head. Now, if you're planning to blow your soul out the top of your head, then you better really get that right. But as a devotee, you don't have to worry about it. In fact, Krishna says, my devotees don't worry about it. right? They don't worry about when they're going to leave. They're just absorbed in devotional service. Go ahead.
So we can explain that way to other people when you're reading like light, and because in India people think, okay, it's good, auspicious, but then that's for yogis, not for general people.
Yeah, that's the important thing.
Thank you so much.
Just one comment on Victor's question. What Krishna means by abandoning all dharmas and surrendering to me, he explains in the previous verse. Man manaba mamad bhakto madhyajay mam namaskuru. Mame vaishyasi satyan pratijane priyosame. Just think of me, become my devotee, worship me, bow down to me, then you'll certainly come to me. I promise you this because you're my very dear friend. And that's what he means by sarva dharma parityajya.
Yeah, that's what it means.
What's just what
three
we're doing.
things.
Don't stop brushing your teeth.
Yeah, don't stop brushing your teeth. Anything else? Is that it?
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the class. I want to ask that in the beginning that the secret, yes, you said that
the purport.
That if we have implicit faith in Guru and Krishna, then everything revealed, Vedas will be. And what it means, because of I understand that also it depends our relationship with Guru, with devotees, because of Srila Prabhupada, when he before death, he said that if you want to express love to me, then cooperate. So cooperation not possible without love, but it's very not cheap. This is to be dependent each other is not cheap, and maybe this is secret that when we have this close relationship with devotees, and it help us to, like the prachetas, they took austerities, but Krishna says that I satisfy not your austerity, but like you cooperate with each other.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
And this is how to say, way or something else.
Mm-hmm. That's a very, very good point. And I'm sure, is it Dvijamani tomorrow giving class? Who's giving class tomorrow? Yeah, so he's going to be talking about the secret. So we'll let him discuss that more. Is there one last thing? Because we should end.
I had two questions back. I guess my first one was, can the Bhagavad Gita in itself just perfect your life if that's all you had? And if so, why wasn't Vyasadeva satisfied with writing the Bhagavad Gita? Because there was the Puranas, and then he said also the Mahabharata and then the Gita, but then still he wasn't satisfied. Then he wrote the Bhagavatam. But why was the Bhagavad Gita? Why was that included?
Well, there's a few questions there. In the first question, yes, if you only had was the Bhagavad Gita, there you are, you're washed up on a tropical island, and all you had was a lifetime supply of Khichdi curry sauce and the Bhagavad Gita, you would be just fine. You'd attain perfection. Bhagavad Gita as it is. There'd be no question, you'd be fine. You'd just be fine. Now, Bhagavad Gita, and of course, attaining perfection, it doesn't end. You attain perfection. In other words, Krishna says right in the Bhagavad Gita, Dami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. So whatever you need to know, you become a pure devotee of Krishna. Krishna reveals more and more and more and more in your heart. And the process of devotional service is elaborated even more in other literatures. But if all you had was the Bhagavad Gita, could you attain perfection? Absolutely. Bhagavad Gita as is not a problem. Okay? So we can end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. And stay tuned for tomorrow's class when Dvijamani reveals the secret of secrets. Like that, the secret of success.